It should be working now.
It does, yeah, it does. So, first of all, Mr. Van Houten, thank you for accepting to talk with us. If we go directly on 2015, the political crisis were at its very peak. But what led to the political parties to sit in Persia?
I think at some point everyone realized that there was no real solid way forward, that the crisis would only deteriorate, that the situation would go worse, unless people would agree to sit around the table and start a discussion on how to resolve it. VMRO at that time, of course, they were quite confident that they could manage everything, and they believed they could move forward without too many problems, which was not really the case as it appeared later, but that was the way it was at that point.
Since you know you've been inside the process and you have some insight from what happened there, can we have some insight of what happened there? Just I mean briefly some details.
I would say, for me, the most astonishing was, of course, that at that time, for every detail, whenever you needed to have an agreement from the VMRO people, they needed to consult the boss, meaning Mr. Gruevski, the then Prime Minister, for everything. So they needed, and that delayed a lot the meetings. They had to return to the headquarters, and then they came back later on with a yes or no, and then again and again. So at some point in time, I also got fed up with it, and I said, okay, let's call then Mr. Gruevski. He should sit at the table to say yes or no directly, instead of going around talking to other people who then have to go back to him and to ask his approval as well. So that was one thing. Completely different with the other parties, I have to admit. The Albanian parties, no problem at all. They were very forthcoming. They were very cooperative, I would say. There was no problem with that. On SDSM side, always the people at the table, they had a clear mandate and they could say whatever they had to say, and they knew how far they could go, which made it easy on that side at least.
But was there some moments during the process that some of the parties did maybe a coalition on their demands? Or I would say, even though you gave us a little bit of the answer, but was there any specific demands from specific political party?
I would say there were all the time specific demands from specific parties. But going back to things that are now really actual as well, the hot potatoes, I would say, was the appointment, the selection of the special prosecutor. We had lengthy discussions about this topic, and at some point, I would say in the middle of the night, we decided to call in the party leaders. So the party leaders arrived, I think it was 2 a.m. or something like that.
To come there or on the telephone?
No, to come there. Physically, to be there in the meeting, in the parliamentary club, Club da Pratserice. Yeah. And we had a lengthy discussion, and we prepared, of course, a whole selection process and how you could get to an agreement about who might become the special prosecutor. The proposal was that they would all propose their own candidates. And then suddenly, when it came to that, very surprising, it appeared that there was already an inside agreement between the two major parties. At least that was my feeling then, on the particular candidate who was then later on appointed as well. I found it amazing because suddenly there was no problem anymore. Apparently they were talking also outside the process, which I believed at that time was a good move. Now today I'm not so sure anymore, because I don't know what else was at stake. Maybe that was part of a bigger deal, or there was something else going on. I don't know till today, but maybe one day this will be clarified as well.
And if I ask you specifically, whose choice was Katica Janeva? On whose list was Janeva? What would you say?
She was clearly at the list of VMRO, because it was the then Prime Minister Gruevski who proposed her. But I had the sense that there was an approval from the side of SDSM as well, so that in advance they had a contact between them and they already agreed on her as candidate.
Was there any tensions in that table where they were discussing?
I mean, really, yeah, there was a lot of tension. I remember that from time to time I had to interfere quite in a quite tough way, I would say, and to make it clear also to everyone that I was basically mediating this, and I was chairing the meeting, and so they had to listen to me first of all, and they had to accept and be reasonable and listen also to the other side, because it was sometimes quite difficult.
And were they somehow together in some of their demands in those tensions, or?
No, that usually didn't happen. What you often saw that there was a kind of understanding, at least on the side of the Albanian parties. They were not really opposing whatever we proposed, so that was quite easy. But on the other side, of course, the tension was always between SDSM and VMRO. They hated each other, really. That's the only thing I can say. But certainly on the VMRO side, it was so difficult.
Yeah. My last question would be, having in mind everything that you did here, having in mind all the appointments you had with the politicians and the parties, all the negotiations, and everything that was agreed on with the Persian agreement. Are you disappointed, I would say, of the development of what happened after Persian and today?
For me, there are two important things, reasons why I'm a bit disappointed, to say the least. First of all, as I said it often, I have the impression that SDSM wanted, first of all, to get into power, but it had no problem with the system. And they also, today, you see that they use a kind of similar or more or less the same system as existed before to stay into power, which is not a good approach. And that is based basically on a clientelist system where you have patronage systems. We have basically the bosses and their clients, and they pay their clients, they give them jobs and so on, in order to make sure that these people will vote for them later on. This is not good, of course. That's one thing. And the other thing that is quite important, therefore I'm really angry sometimes, is because of the respect for the rule of law. Normally, if there is a prosecution and there is a serious investigation ongoing, you should first finish the investigation, and people, if they did something wrong, should appear for the court and should be convicted. Only then you can eventually consider to provide some amnesty at the end of the process. When everyone is convicted, you can say, okay, now you get amnesty, but not before. You cannot block the judiciary. The judiciary, in a completely independent way, should play its role and move on. And there's the last element I would raise, the whole fuss with the special prosecutor. In principle, that should be investigated by a kind of special court again, not just by regular prosecutors. This is not a good approach. In most countries, you have a kind of special authority who would do the investigation if there would be an abuse of power or any problem at this level. You cannot have colleagues basically investigating you. That's not a good idea. That should be completely out of the system. But that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say thank you for your time. But what I would like at the end is answering with yes or no. If you have to do Persiano all together again, would you do it?
Yes, I would do it. Yes, for sure. Yeah. But different.